Hello and welcome back. I first want to apologize. I haven't been able to upload any content from Wizards Fest. If you look and see that little yellow dot, yeah, that is where I am from, and I've been currently pretty much bracing for Hurricane Dorian, helping people get ready, getting my own supplies, putting stuff away. So finally had a little bit of downtime tonight, wanted to put some content together. I've had a lot of people asking exactly, well, what did you find at WUfest besides dragons? So I'm going to go over a lot of the really awesome things that I saw there that really impressed me. I mean, WB, Niantic, everybody, they put a lot of thought into this event. You really could just tell because of the props that they used, the settings that they created, and just the sense of community that was going on. It was a really amazing event. I'd never been to a Niantic event before either, so this was a really awesome one to be my first experience. First off, though, I want to give a huge shout out to Gareth and Laura Wilford over at Wizards Unite. It's a Facebook page. They threw an amazing bash before everything took place, everything started. Huge shout out to them. Had a ton of fun meeting them and a bunch of the other WooTubers and things like that at the pub. But first things first, I'm going to show you some of the awesome things that I actually saw. Like I said, the scenery, the props, everything was just top notch. I was really impressed with the detail. Like, I keep going on about the detail, but I was really impressed with the detail that I actually saw. I didn't snap a picture of it, but there were actual like golden snitches and flying keys inside of the trees. I mean, look at the detail of this right here. They copied some of the confoundables perfectly. Just stunning and amazing. One of my favorite things that I actually saw, though, this is footage right here of them finishing up one of the rest lounges, and you can see all of the bottles, the detail that they put into it, and it was really like actually being there and seeing those things float by themselves. I was super impressed. This, of course, was one of my favorites, and you could hear the music. They had that playing all around behind us throughout the entire day, but floating candles inside of the tent, like just super impressed. They had tons of different areas also that you could take pictures from. Plenty of photo ops, awesome, cool things. But just look at the detail and the imagination they used in order to make all of these sets. Like I was saying, plenty of different photo ops between the big backdrop on the stage and the giant greenhouse, and the staff was impeccable too. Like, at plenty of times they were offered to take pictures, and like this, the big baby Niffler was amazing. I loved it. But the staff, again, like, I want to talk about that too. They were super helpful. If you had a question, you could ask them. If you were trying to take a picture and you didn't have anybody that could actually take the picture for you, they offered to do that. It was great. Like, I was actually chatting with some of the people headed to one of the lounge tents. He was actually one of the MCs that was doing some of the events going on. And just the amount of passion that they had by themselves just for the event was really astounding. As you can see, though, everything down to every little detail was all throughout the park. They didn't leave one area untouched by magic, really, if you want to get technical about it. And it wasn't really just also the props that they used. There was a lot of natural beauty in this spot as well. If you ever get a chance to go out to Indianapolis, I definitely recommend going and checking out this state park. I was just blown away with the ability they had of picking such a beautiful spot, and then on top of it, making it feel super magical because of where we were. Now, that's for an entirely different video, but I do want to shout out all of the WooTubers that allowed me to hang out. I had an awesome time getting to know them, picking their brains actually on ways to make the channel better, and you could just tell by their excitement how much not only did they love this game, but they actually loved covering the content. Like I said, it has to be an entirely different video because I have so much love for this group right here. It's crazy because even though I'm the young kid who just started, and I mean, some of these people have had their channels for a year and a half, they welcomed me. They were super awesome, and like I said, they helped me. They answered any question I had, and they had no problem with me hanging out with them. And you could really see how much their fans loved them. But going into other stuff, my favorite thing right here was that threat clock, and it was really awesome being able to see it working, and it did actually make other spawns happen as it changed. Like, it was acting like a real threat clock. But to start even talking about the spawns, it's kind of crazy just what I saw and how many of everything that I did. And I mean, I'm not even talking about dragons. I'm just talking about the normal everyday spawns that we saw while we were at the park. There were probably close to about 40 to 45 inns, I want to say. And each time we went to an inn, it would give us 10 energy. And so we never really ran out of energy. Also, on top of it, I was really, really surprised about getting these as well. The founders pictures. They were just added to the registry. Had no idea that they were going to be part of the actual event themselves. But I was just blown away. I was like, that's awesome. Like some of the stuff I saw there, I've only ever seen once. Some I never even actually seen. Now, the really cool thing too, though, is that we were talking to people from Niantic, and yes, they made it easier for us to return things at the event, but they didn't really crank up the spawns per se. The reason why we were getting so many crazy spawns like this is because there were so many people at the event, and any time an inn ran out of a dark detector, somebody immediately threw up another one. So every inn in that entire park for the entire day had dark detectors on it. And I'm not sure if it was individual players or maybe it might have been Niantic actually doing it themselves. But I got to tell you, it was crazy. I lost count on how many severe and emergency threat levels I actually saw. And again, I'm not even talking about dragons or the dragon eggs or anything like that. I'm just talking about everything else that's randomly inside of the registry. But I mean, of course, the big thing that we were there for were the dragons. They were the highlight of the day. It was really cool how they made you go through a quest line in order to unlock the dragons. You only got the first two by getting to the second part of the quest, and then you unlocked the other two when you got to the third part of the quest. And it was really cool too because two of the dragons are severe, two of them are emergency. So there were varying degrees of difficulty, and again, they made every single one of them look completely different. I was super impressed with the event. Now, I'll actually go through the registry with you and show you some of the stuff that I'm talking about, too. There were a lot of common returns, but like the centaur, I'd seen maybe one centaur before, and I was able to return that and put it actually on the registry. Swooping Evil would be another really good example. Voldemort's portrait. I don't know if I'd ever actually seen one before, but I was able to not only return it, but I saw way more. I saw a bunch of Tom Riddles. Worked a bunch on the schools. I saw a ton of McGonagalls. Like, I'd only ever seen one McGonagall, and it was during the community day when it was 9 3/4. I'd never really seen a Dumbledore painting either, and I was able to return that. Look at that, 17. I saw 17 of them there. Saw a couple of foxes, which was awesome, and a couple actual wild regular sorting hats. Found a good amount of Ginnies. I was really clicking on those because those seem to be the hard ones for me to find. Sirius. Everyone knows Sirius is my favorite character. I was able to get enough to return him. I found a good portion of Harry Potter as well. Hermione. I had never really seen a Hermione either, and I was able to place her. Dumbledore as well. Was able to get a good amount of Dumbledore fragments. I had a couple run away from me, to be honest with you, too. But I got a good amount of those. Looking over here, the big thing right here is the veil. I had only ever seen one veil before, and I got it actually from a fortress battle, and I actually saw two of them. One of them did run away from me, unfortunately, but I saw two of them. It was crazy. I had never seen a veil actually out in the wild before. Now, moving over to Magizoology. I saw a bunch of the common ones, of course. I got enough trolls in order to actually be able to return the troll. Demiguise as well. I'd only seen probably a couple of them. Found a ton of demiguises while we were there. Newt. Oh my god, we saw a good number of newts as well. One of them did run away from me, of course. That just is how it happens. But Newt, I was really surprised. And same thing with the unicorn. Was able to find a couple unicorn fragments. Now moving over to Magical Games and Sports, was able to prestige that page from what I found. Also found a good portion or a good amount of Quidditch Ron. Had never seen a Nimbus 2000 before. Got a good amount of Nimbus 2000s, a couple of Harry Potters, and a Goblet of Fire or two. Again, just completely surprised. And I had only honestly found Seamus, and I was able to put all of those in the registry right there. I was just, again, blown away, so completely surprised. Moving on to Mysterious Artifacts, found a bunch of those right there. Awesome stuff right here as well. The pensive, found every single pensive. It was crazy. I'd seen one before in the wild before where I live, but found 5 of those during the day. Look at those time turners too. I was so close to being able to actually return that. I needed to find a couple more, but couldn't find them. Now looking over here, Whomping Willow fragment, I actually was able to get 2 fragments of Weasley's flying car. I'd only ever gotten one before inside of a fortress, so that was really, really cool being able to see that actually in the wild as well. I have a hard time returning Guarp also, and I was able to get a couple of him, which was really awesome because, like I said, he just likes the run for me for some reason. Now, moving on down to Oddities, I was able to get enough to where I can prestige the page that aren't my regional anywhere near me, the Asian Oceania, but I'm not sure if I'm going to yet. The one I'm missing right there is actually my regional dragon as well, too, so I should be able to prestige that to silver if I want to, but again, I'm not entirely sure if I want to because I love looking at those dragons. Now, 374 scrolls is what I ended up with. I got roughly, I want to say, 360. I had some before the event, but not many. Like I said, I think we got roughly about 24 green books, kind of crazy, and just a ton of runes. I only had a couple just because I was really trying to grind out those fortresses, and I ended up with a ton. I'm really excited about those oddity runes because now I can maybe get my centaur bows before the full moon in September. So I'm stoked. It was just crazy. There were a ton of people in costume too, but this one by far takes the cake. Her name is Katie Aiani. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right, but she is a professional cosplayer. She travels all around to the different cons, to the different gatherings, things like that. She has an amazing job working for Sci-Fi. I will leave her info down in the description. Definitely check her out. Some of her photos are quite amazing. This right here was also my second one. I loved this one just because the guy, as soon as I was like, can I take a picture? He struck the pose that they do in the game. Great stuff. He really put some thought into it. Also, somebody did find me and claim the pop. It was really great. I was walking around with my buddy Dan from the Room of Rec. I'll leave his contact info down below. Check out his raps of Wizards Unite. They're great. But she turned to me and she was like, man, if it wouldn't have been for your video describing Day of the Dragons and how the event worked, I would have had no idea how any of this went on. And that just made my day. That was awesome. So she won the pop. It was really great meeting her and being able to actually experience that as well. Now, towards the end of the day, they wanted to take a picture, and so all of the wizards and witches at Wizards Unite decided to descend upon the stage, and we were all getting together. You could just see how many people were there. They said they sold out the first day of 8,000 tickets. The second day was almost sold out as well. If it didn't sell out, I'm not quite sure, but you can just see all of the excitement that everybody has, how much everybody's having fun, the community that this game has built. And like I said, I'm going to go into that in a different video because I have a lot to say about the heart that the people who play this game have. Like I said, the community, the friendships, everything that this game itself has built. It was quite amazing being there, being able to witness all of it and being a part of it. I had a blast. Last thing I really want to tell you about, this was really cool. AT&T had a little giveaway where if you went up to their booth, they gave you a little card, and on the card it had a number, and you had to go to a website, put your info in, and then you had to do these 2 really, really easy quests. And once you did the quest, they gave you some rewards. You're like, oh, okay, cool. They gave you some free stuff. No, they gave us EX potions. They gave us free energy, which we didn't really need. But on top of it, they gave us an increase in spell capacity of 10. It was great. We also returned, I believe, over 500,000 dragons the first day, so we unlocked Day of the Dragons happening on the 7th. Not quite sure if I'll be able to do it yet because of the storm, but we do have currently all 4 bonuses going on until the 9th. Extra XP, longer dark detectors, half distance on portmanteaus, and a half brewing potion. And we all, like I said, we unlocked Day of the Dragons. The way it worked is it depended on whatever port key you picked up, your region picked up the most. That's what dragon you get besides your regular one. And everywhere except for Asia unlocked the Chinese Fireball, which is a great dragon. I think it's great, but the Asia and Oceania will be the only ones to be able to prestige their page. I do feel, though, that Niantic will release the other dragons at some other point. It's just similar based off of Pogo because that's kind of what they've done before. So don't worry if you're not going to be able to prestige your page. You will be able to get those dragons, I believe, at a later point. But just to summarize everything, it was almost overwhelming at times. Not because of playing the game and seeing the actual foundables and the dragons, but because of the beauty of the place, the thought that you could see that they put into it, especially, like I said, an old boss of mine said, the devil's in the detail, and you could really tell that they took the time to really make sure those details were in place, and just the friendships that were made, the community, just the love of everyone that played there, that was there that day, was amazing. But my name is Turmentic. Thanks for sticking around and checking out some of the amazing things that happened at WUfest. I will post more content later. Not sure if it'll be before the hurricane or after.